I want to share with you on how I navigate PeerDeck to SAVVAS. There's a little bit problem or struggle in connecting the link to PeerDeck to SAVVAS. They don't allow hyperlink, but lately I noticed that they allow as long as you are logged in already to your SAVVAS account before you start your lesson. So let's say this is my lesson. This was my lesson last week. So I asked them what influenced your decision making, like that. So I asked them, I do now. Do you remember? And I asked them to use it to um answer a question. And actually, there are some students who really showed work with that. There are some of them who really have shown the work. Well, anyways, and then the goal for this one is to solve real-world problems dividing with mixed numbers, choosing diagrams, and algorithm. And I use this video. This is from SAVVAS, and there's a link over here, right? I hope I could click that link, all right? So it does allow me to click it, and now as it allows you to do the link once you are already logged in SAVVAS. If you're not logged into SAVVAS, it doesn't
How
allow
can you find the
you to do
quotient of
that.
mixed numbers? Think about this question during the
So
lesson.
I usually assign to them. I usually
David has
talk about
37
the
and
first
1/2
one.
inches
All
of
right.
space on his
So
car bumper
here's
that he
the
wants to
first
use for
set.
bumper
We're gonna stop.
stickers.
So this one I usually let them see it, and if you see some tools over here, you could but the only thing that I don't have here is the pen. I could not write anything. I only have calculator, just like that, math tools. Maybe we could see. So that's the only one they have, right? So going back here, then you continue, and that video that we have. So there's page 2. If you see that, that is already in page 2, and I want the students to like work on this and convince me. So here there are tools that you could like talk to them, like what is this, and you could talk at the same time, so you don't really have to like have a problem going back to your presentation. You just go from your presentation to the next. All right. So the only thing is students could not like you couldn't see students working with you, but this is your presentation. Okay, but you could also let them do it on their own later on. So I assigned this as a assignment at the end. So always a page 2. All right, so let's assume this done. And then so I'm gonna go here again. This is also exercise 2. I took it out. So usually we don't need to do the snapshot for that. You just have to go to the SAVVAS, and there's, as I said before, there always be that tool that you could use to write, right? This is exercise 1. If you go here, there is exercise 2 right here, and you could go also here. You could talk to them. This is supposed to be movable, but since you are the one using it, the kids cannot touch it. So you could go to the next one, and there are tools again. But this is just an explanation. That's why there's no tools, right? So again, you could just do that. This is what I'm doing. Like you could just go from one to another. Right, for this one, I also gave this to them as a that they have to work on this one. I gave it as a assignment, but again, you could, if you want, you could teach it to them. The only thing is that pen is not there because it's just telling them how to explain. The pen will appear on the part that you can you need to solve, like for example page 4, usually the last part. So now you could just write over with your hand, right? And you change something like that. You could also explain to them again, even though here it was already explained to them, but you could always go back and say, oh, you multiply this plus that, so you're gonna have 8 over 3, or you have a different way of solving it. You could just introduce it here, and you could always like, okay, you could always go back and give it to them. So I do that, but I always go back to over there to work on those problems that was given. That was exercise 2. That was the one that we just did, and then I let them drill for here. Of course, uh, you could see the work from the students also, and then I asked them to see the tasks that I assigned to them in a Google Classroom, and there they could get their homework from Google Classroom. So I have deleted my Google Classroom, but in in the Google Classroom, I already assigned 3 things to them. So I just gonna pick any class. So that was on the week of the 20, right? So it's right here. It's gonna be here. So classwork mixed with the right numbers. Uh, okay, and it's here in SAVVAS. So if kids could work on that one, if you go to SAVVAS again, I assign that to them. So let's say 609. And here divide mixed number, and if you look inside views and status, if you look inside uh, let's say the one with the brackets, which you can see there's only one, that's only one. But if there are assignments that's more than one, you could that I group them together. Let's say classwork Excel, classwork divide mixed number. I think this one has more than one. So these kids didn't do the work, but what can do? Here. So you could see that exercise 1, 2, and 3, I usually put them together because I only ask them to do the number 2. Because there's only, if you look at the assignments, the first one you introduce to them, and the second one of they do. So they could see it here, right? So usually that was the first one. That was the video that we did, and the page 2, that's the one that they're supposed to do. And then also here exactly the same. The page 1 we did it together, and the page 2 I usually give it to them to do to prove. And also here page 1 we did it together, remember, we did that together, and that was the explanation and everything like that. And then page 4 is the one they are supposed to do, and you could always go back. So here if you could go here, you see that students work. So you could also like look at those who are done. Let's see if they did this question. Let's see if they have done. This kid has 100 points. So you could see their scores and they did it. And this one too. Let's see if this kid did this page 2. I usually ask them to do page 2, but that was not done. So let's go to the next question. So like that. So, and then I could go back to my presentation and I could tell them, okay, guys, your homework today is complete the go the I ready, whatever your homework is you're giving them. All right. So, so far that's all I have done in to help me work with the with SAVVAS and PEARDECK.